Hello, this is Sergio Morero. We're here with another session of RBL1 Live. We have our Founders Pitch Series where we have Ian Garrett, the CEO of Phalanx. So thanks again, Ian, for joining us. And I'm going to turn off my camera and you have 5 minutes to share your venture with our audience. So go ahead.
Awesome. Really appreciate it, Sergio. As you mentioned, CEO of Phalanx, and really the story of Phalanx. What we're building here is we're saying a data-centric endpoint security solution. And the story of Phalanx really starts with my background. I spent a number of years in the Army as a cyber officer, focused on offensive cyber operations. Left active duty, went into a PhD program focused again in cyber and artificial intelligence. And then really in 2020 is when we saw that there's a major gap between what we have as cyber capabilities and what is required in this up and coming remote and hybrid work environments. The end of the day, it really wasn't that the lack of technology was the problem, but really on the end user level, user usage was the problem. So, we'll walk through, what the biggest issues are, what we're building, and everything else. So looking again, what the biggest issue is that, people are the problem. And what that really comes down to is the first bullet point, the data loss prevention. At the point, if you were to purchase DLP today, it has a lot of access controls. It requires a lot of manpower on the security staff side. What we believe is that data loss prevention should be at the data level, should provide a layer of security on the data itself, and should minimize the amount and manpower that's being used. That second point, zero trust is a growing concept in cybersecurity. Zero trust right now, really focuses on devices on networks, but zero trust is saying that you should always verify and authenticate every user doing every action. So we're saying that needs to go down to the data level. We're watching breaches happen every day. We can mitigate the effects of a breach by having encryption on the data and the files themselves. And then finally, cyber compliance, unsurprisingly, is very complicated and costly. And at the end of the day, you could fast track the cyber compliance by having an encryption tool. So what we've built is an automatic file encryption solution, sits resident on devices, and we're really focused on the end user's experience, building and providing a capability that has the user psychology in mind. So, this is important because privacy, at the end of the day, privacy matters, data matters, and we want to make sure that the data itself has security on it. And we want to make sure that organizations are able to share data without having concerns that there's potential leakage or even insider threat. So, as we're going into 2021 or ending 2021, we're seeing, return to the office, but not fully returning. So remote work is here to stay. Hybrid work is only making it worse. And again, the rise of zero trust is showing that we need to have an increased granularity to our data security. And then finally, with the government, on the US side, the White House pushed for more data security, but even abroad, the GDPR, privacy concerns aren't going away, privacy issues aren't going away. And the only way to truly protect privacy and data is to have encryption and security on it itself. So our tool is a desktop application that is installed. Again, we've abstracted away the UI. So if really you interacted at the file level, you actually right click these files in order to perform the on-demand encryption and decryption. And again, we have protection zones that throughout the device that automatically will perform these encryptions in the background. So the user, all they have to do is double click the file to decrypt. Otherwise, they can perform the same actions that they're doing today. So, our biggest benefit is that we're a environment agnostic solution. So you can email these files, you can Slack the files, you can put them in your cloud drive. It really takes away that burden away from the user. Today, we have 31 organizations that are currently secured using Phalanx. And we have a week-over-week growth in our traction. So what we're seeing is more and more people are using Phalanx every day and integrating them into their workflows. So we have a mix of paid and free pilots, and we're adding, and on average at this point, for each. They're usually limited scope pilots, so about 10 users per pilot. And we're looking to add to as many organizations as possible. Going into our team, I've introduced myself, but we also have 2 other co-founding members. Our COO, Carl Penny, really comes from a policy background. So he was a cyber risk consultant at Deloitte and has an MBA background. And our CTO is my brother, and he has a long engineering background, so has experience in both systems and software engineering from large scale systems like orbital ATK, Northrop Grumman, and has a lot of experience with sensitive data. So finally, to hit, what is our true advantage here? Environment agnostic is the largest thing. We can take and protect data in any location from anywhere, and that's increasingly important with the hybrid work environment. We're bringing security to how users are currently doing their workflows. At the end of the day, we're flipping the script on how people approach data security. We're not building a cool tech and then forcing it upon people. We're saying, hey, how do you actually do your work today? And how do we build security around that? And then finally, automation and security need to be hand in hand for it to be used. Otherwise, there's going to be a shadow IT problem. So the more you can automate in the background, and again, tailor to work beside the user, the more adoption there's going to be. So that's the quick and dirty on what we're building over at Phalanx. And we'd love to entertain any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Ian, for sharing with the group. And for those watching, visit phalanx.io online. And we're going to go now to the Q&A.